Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new episode of the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Freeman Sims, and I just want to jump on and say thank y'all so much for listening, making the show a great success, and also on behalf of Medics for Paranormal PPF and the Unseen Paranormal Podcast, a big thank you for y'all's support and all the events we've been doing, the love you've been showing for the expo we have coming up. We've got more events coming up this year, so stay tuned for that. And a big thank you for everybody that came out to Thomas House. Me and Lee and Regina and Jesse and our special guest, Cintrator Hill. We all had a blast with y'all. What a great group of people on Friday and Saturday night. And just a great group of supporters all around. So thank y'all so much for all the love, for everything we're doing. And I'm going to take a break for a couple weeks after this episode. This is episode 25 of season 3. So that means we're halfway through season 3 of our 50-episode season. But I'm going to take a break for a week or so, and then we'll come back with all the episodes and let y'all get all caught up on the past episodes that you have not heard. So, enjoy this awesome episode with Erin Taylor, and we will see you soon. Stay safe out there. Have a good day. Join us as we dive into the history, hauntings, and high strange of the world to try to better understand the paranormal. I will be your guide. I am paranormal researcher and investigator Eric Freeman Sims. Welcome to the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This week we are chatting with paranormal author and investigator Erin Taylor. Erin has been published in the Morbid Curious and Haunted magazine and is the author of Sleeping Among the Spirits, Sleeping in the Nation's Most Haunted Locations, as well as Unfinished Business, Tales of Haunted Bathrooms and Restrooms. Today we're going to chat with her about her experiences and thoughts on the paranormal. You can find Erin Taylor's books on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, and wherever fine books are sold. Hey Erin, welcome to the Unseen Paranormal. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I saw your newest book, and I was like, I have to have her on to talk about this book. And I love the title, Unfinished Business, Tales of Haunted Bathrooms and Restrooms.
Thank you. Yeah, trying to figure out a title for a book about haunted bathrooms. I couldn't think of anything more perfect.
Yeah. And then when I thought about it, I thought, well, there's been a lot of locations that I've been to that I've experienced stuff in the bathrooms, or there's stories of stuff in bathrooms. So I just thought it was a interesting take on haunted locations.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually how the whole premise came about, was talking with a few of my friends, and it was, why is it always, well, first off, it's like, why is it always the female's bathroom?
Right.
And then the more digging into it, it's like, okay, well, there are some men, but it seems to be, and no one's talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had, not so long ago, I actually had an experience in a men's bathroom. Well, before I went into the men's bathroom, we were at a haunted museum, and the lights were off, and the bathroom lights are motion sensor. And I was walking to the bathroom, and the light was on, and I saw the shadow of, legs under the door, and the sink is right in front of the door, so I gently pushed it open not to hit anybody. Well, there's nobody in there. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah, just these phantom shadow legs under the door. And they said they have it happen all the time. They'll sit and just watch the men and women's bathroom lights go on and off, and nobody's in there, and things like that, and the doors opening and closing and things. But yeah, it's just interesting because I never really thought about the amount of, like I said, the amount of places that I've been that there are claims. But before we dive into the book and some of the locations, how did you get into the paranormal and writing about the paranormal?
So I feel like it's a very, I've been fascinated with the paranormal since as long as I can remember. I grew up on the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, R.L. Stein, and just always thinking that ghosts were the coolest. And then I remember when the TV shows came out, it was, only people on TV could do that. That's something that everyday people like me couldn't do. And with encouragement of my mother, she had told me I should look into if there's any local teams. So I'm out here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and hopped on Google. And sure enough, there were a couple teams in my area. Applied to one, and applied to a couple, and one took me on. And And that is how I got my start doing what the people do on TV, and then finding out that it's completely different.
Yeah.
I call a lot of those training videos of what not to do.
Right.
But so that was about 2013. So I'm going on about 10 years of doing this within a group. And of course, I did amateur ghost hunting way before that, where I would do a group investigation at the Stanley Hotel. I've got a geeky picture. I call it the geeky picture with the K2 because I was a real ghost hunter, or poking around things. But to answer your question about writing, that actually didn't come about until about a year and a half ago. So my buddy Richard Estep is an author, and when I first met him, like, oh, that's so cool. You can just write about ghosts, and I thought it was just the most amazing thing. And his words just stuck out, and he's like, well, just do it. Like, yeah, whatever. And just so I always played with the notion, but never really did it until Sleeping Among Spirits came about. And I think it was right around then that I had written a couple of the articles for Haunted Magazine, and Morbid Curious would come along while I was writing the book. But it's kind of like the Haunted Bathrooms, where I wanted to go around and sleep at these places.
Yeah.
And that all came out of a joke, because I fell asleep on the floor at Sally House in Natchez in Kansas, and slept just fine there, and found that writing's my niche. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never thought about all the haunted places that are places that people sleep. I actually had a guest on season 1 of my show here a couple of years ago that brought that to my attention, that the majority of places that we investigate are places that people have slept. Like, something like 90% of places you investigate and that are claimed to be haunted is where people have slept, like hospitals and insane asylums, prisons, hotels. And I just found that fascinating. That is there a correlation between sleeping and spirits, or what? I just found it interesting. Or people are most vulnerable when they're sleeping, and so if a place is haunted, they notice more, or what?
Right. And then there's the fear factor too. If someone goes to sleep not knowing who or what might be around them.
Right. Yeah, and I had Katrina Weidman on the show, and she's from she was on Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Groff, and I joked with her. Yeah, I do too. She's amazing, and she was amazing to talk to. But I joked with her. I'm like, were you going for the Guinness World Book of Records of sleeping in the most haunted places of anybody else? So for that book, you slept in quite a few of those places, though.
I slept in all of them.
Yeah, so you're kind of giving her a run for her money on that record.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit inspired by the Paranormal Lockdown. However, I just wasn't in each of those locations for the 72 hours.
Yeah.
Some of my beds felt like probably where they were sleeping, but I was spoiled in some of the hotels with actual beds. I give Katrina and Nick, props, because they were just kind of sleeping where they were.
Yeah, and some nasty locations too. Some really dirty asbestos, all this other stuff. But yeah, so I find the sleeping in haunted places, and occasionally I get the chance to do that. And I joke with people all the time, because you ever heard of the Thomas House Hotel? Mm-hmm. We do a lot of events there because we're in Middle Tennessee, and we have one coming up actually the 17th, 18th of March. But we sleep there because we stay there the whole weekend, because we have a different group of guests on Friday and Saturday nights. And so we sleep there both nights. I say sleep there. We take a nap in the morning, when the investigation's over. But it seems like the spirits there, the last 2 times I've been there, that's when they've wanted to have some activity. And I'm like, look, I'm going to bed. You've had like 12 hours, of us trying to get you to do things and to make yourself known. And now you want to move things around in my room. The last time we were there, I actually heard a sigh in my ear. And it's not
wow.
It was an audible man sigh in my ear. And I was like, look, I'm using the bathroom. I'm going to bed. This is not time to start now.
You had your chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. Been there.
So The Unfinished Business, I love the title, like I said, and I also love the cover. And the cover is actually Robert Murch's bathroom. And anybody that doesn't know who he is, he's kind of the foremost expert on the legend of Ouija boards and spirit boards and things like that.
Yes, it was. So that's his old bathroom. He recently moved, and I'm very sad to report that his new house does not have a bathroom like that. It was kind of fun being able to write him up and go like, hey, can I use your bathroom? He's like, absolutely. You know the story of those boards, right?
I do not. I've not had him on the show. I've been in touch with him, but haven't got to get him scheduled yet.
Okay. Well, I was just curious about the word of mouth about Robert Murch's bathroom, because of course that picture is just making the rounds, and of course you hear the people who go, "Oh my gosh, I would never use that bathroom."
Right.
Of course, it came from his house where he had about 1,000. I might be exaggerating, but I mean he had a bunch of boards just stationed up in his downstairs basement area. Beautiful, beautiful setup. But all the fakes he found were in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I had nowhere else to put them, so why not put them in, put them in the toilet area, put them in the crap or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to say, yep, I've been there by BTMI, used the facilities, survived, later wrote a book on it.
Right.
So,
it may be the one of the best covers I've ever seen to just grab your attention of like, oh, I need to read this book just based on the cover.
Thanks. Yeah, I can actually thank Richard Essefer. He sent me the photo, and he inspired me to use it for the cover. Because out of all the pictures I took at Robert's house, I never didn't take any at the bathroom, but I do. I love it.
Yeah, I was amazed in the book at how many of the famous locations that you've seen on TV actually have bathroom stories. And there's some really good stories in here too on places that aren't as well known, but places like the Stanley Hotel, you got the Empire State Building, Limp Mansion, Shreveport Municipal Auditorium, which Ghost Hunters have been there, Whistler's Estate. So some kind of the Conjuring House, some of the usual suspects a lot of the shows have been to that a lot of people that are familiar with from the shows. I thought that was interesting that there's so many that people actually know.
Yeah, absolutely. The more that I dug on them, like the Conjuring House, I didn't know. I haven't been there yet. And Sam Baltrusos, who wrote my foreword, good friend of mine, he had messaged me like while I'm writing the book, and he's like, "Hey, do you know that there's a portal potty? That's what they call it." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And so I have pictures in the book, and but they have two mirrors that are facing each other, and they say that that's a portal. And he said that he had some stuff that was going on in that room, and other people who were having experiences, and that blew my mind, because I was thinking, like, well, it's the Conjuring House, of course it's everything else, but no, specifically the bathroom.
Yeah, just trying to do your business and you're in the middle of a portal.
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing's worse than going to use the facility and it's okay, someone watching me, and that's you don't want to think about that. But like as you read through the book, there's places where there are some watchers, and definitely want to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, and you start the book off with the Japanese folklore, and I found that there's so many stories in Japanese folklore about haunted bathrooms. It's pretty interesting how that's kind of their culture with stories like that.
Absolutely, and they're fascinating. I didn't know that they existed either, and my kid is even bringing up her comic book, and it's Tanaka-san Ditor. It's like, and it's and I might be pronouncing it wrong, but Tanaka of the Toilet Bound, which is just an anime based on the lore. So I mean, they take that and they run with it, and that's why I kind of mentioned earlier in my introduction too about like how here in America we take that and the urban legends, and some of them are kind of scary and some of them not so much. Like, but they have similarities, like Bloody Mary and is it Kashmir Arena? I'm trying to remember now my lores, but they have one tale that's almost exactly like Bloody Mary, but it's amazing. It's two different countries.
Yeah, and then there's even some horror movies like Candyman that kind of is around that bathroom folklore of saying Candyman in the mirror and he comes out. I found the Stanley Hotel interesting. I know it's notoriously haunted, anyway, and notoriously known because, Stephen King wrote The Shining in that setting. And then also for us paranormal investigators, we know the Stanley probably very well because the Estes method was developed there, and a lot of us use it. And but that story of that bathroom is interesting because that originally wasn't the bathrooms.
Oh, the one in the concert hall? Absolutely no. Yeah, when it was first designed, it was a music hall, and downstairs they had the bowling alley, and then after a while, it just kind of went unused. The building went unused, and that's when the story of Lucy comes in. And she's the spirit that supposedly haunts the bathrooms, the restrooms down in the concert hall, and she's more of a story. There's no record of an actual woman who was found in there, but through interactions that people have had, she will say that she was there when there was a bowling alley, and that's a pretty neat concept because that one is true.
It's interesting for somebody to have a spirit haunting a bathroom, but you don't really hear about haunted bowling alleys either.
No, I've heard of like maybe one, but I couldn't tell you which one it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I can't think of the one that a bunch of the TV shows have been, and they had like a 2-alley bowling alley in this house, and I can't remember. There's supposed to be a demonic presence or something down in that basement, but it's very little about a bowling alley. And then I found that interesting too because like the women's bathroom at the Thomas house, the one that's for general public, because each of their rooms have their own bathrooms, but one for the general public downstairs, it actually was a visitor room when that was Healing Mineral Springs. And so now it's the women's bathroom. And there's been lots of people that say they experienced stuff in there. And I believe, if I'm correct, that was the last room that somebody was documented to have died in.
Oh, wow.
During the Mineral Springs. And now they have all kinds of things. I actually know somebody who went into that bathroom, and when she came out, she had a time slip incident for about 30, 45 minutes, and went back into the bathroom, came back out after 30, 45 minutes, and found everybody that she had been looking for. So,
oh man, if I had known about that story, that Thomas house would have been on the book too.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. She actually called her investigative partner, who was upstairs investigating at the time, and he never got the phone call. She texted him, and he never got the text. But she was able to call her boyfriend and talk to him in real time. And she thought they were just playing a prank on her and hiding. And so after about 30, 45 minutes, she's like, well, I got to pee again. So I'm just going to go back in the bathroom. Maybe when I come out, I can find them. And when she came back out of the bathroom, they were exactly where she had left them. And he never received a missed call from her, never received a text message or anything.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that's all in the ladies' bathroom. So we joke now when we have... when we do ghost hunts up there, that tell the people, be careful going to the ladies' bathroom. If you come out, can't find anybody, go back in and come back out. Maybe we'll be here,
Like there's some sort of like vortex or something that's coughing, or anyone coughing.
Very interesting thing that happened. But one of the ones that surprised me in the book was Fort Mifflin, because back then they didn't really have the bathrooms that we think of today.
Right, and that of course that wasn't a bathroom. That was the quarter servant house, and then they remodeled it to be the gift shop and the bathrooms. And I'd only found out about it because of earlier ghost hunters. And Dave Tango had kind of similar to what you were saying before. It's like the light, that he had the light and the legs in there. And Greg O'Brien is like the report post investigator. So if you're ever going to go set up an investigation over there, I mean, he'd be the one that you need. And he's talking about how there's likely two spirits. There's the quarter servant who apparently he's kind and doesn't seem to care that his house is now a bathroom. And then there's the woman who she makes messes, but she may not be confined to that bathroom. He thinks that maybe she does it to annoy the quarter servant, but not exactly sure who she is, or she's maybe one of the other female spirits. But she's been popping up, and she just messes with paper towels.
Yeah, I wonder. And that, like you said, he doesn't seem to mind that that's the bathroom now. I wonder if some of these places, that's why that the spirits are kind of haunting the bathroom, because it wasn't a bathroom before, and now they're confused, or not happy that people are using the bathroom in what used to be a bowling alley or their quarters or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So what was there before and why are they now there? And hence the whole unfinished business. Like, why are they here? And also, what do they think about where they're at?
Yeah. One of those stories that caught my attention too is the Old Cowboys nightclub, because there's actually a serial killer that was kind of his stomping grounds. Not that he killed anybody there, but they believe that he had kidnapped a lady from there that he ended up murdering.
Yes, Robert Charles Brown. He is still serving his sentence at our Colorado Territorial Prison, and he is suspected. I don't remember how many actually he was charged with, but as many as maybe 48 deaths he's responsible for over state lines. But of course, there are only so many that they could catch him for. But yeah, he apparently picked up a bartender and then proceeded to kill her and leave her body. But yeah, there's some people who think that he has some sort of residual mark there. Of course, he's still alive.
Yeah.
But anyone that he interacted with, I mean, that was always one of the biggest questions about cowboys, is trying to figure out who or what they were, like these spirits, because they didn't really give us a whole lot of information the few years I investigated there.
Yeah, and that place was, some of the reports come from when it was turned into a haunted haunted house for people to come through and get scared with things jumping out at them, people jumping out at them. Some of the actors actually had lots of weird things happen to them.
My husband was working security for them a few years ago, and he would have to go and put out these emotional fires because the actors would start saying, the lights were acting weird, or the dolls were turning their heads. And sometimes they're more maybe the figment of imagination, or if you've got strobe lights going, maybe it looks like, someone's head. But there were allegations, especially in the bathroom, where the female bathroom, of course, but where the actors were being stuck in these stalls, or they were hearing things. And of course, then there's me who, let me in there. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would get heightened. And there's that theory too around fear. We've seen it on the TV shows, and fear heightens activity. I mean, what happens in a haunted house? People are scared.
Yeah, and pumping all that emotional energy into the atmosphere. That place, the picture you got in the book, that place looks kind of creepy anyway. Down in the basement, the picture you took where this nightclub, if you read the book, it explains this, but there's a place where people could actually ride a real bull in that nightclub, and that basement area, it just looks creepy.
That's actually all one level.
Oh, is it?
So that, where they had the bullpen, was their queue line. So when people were coming in, they're basically standing in this big sand pit. I mean, of course, they're not going to sink in there or anything like that. But when the haunted houses moved in, they did nothing to cover up all the sand. So all of that is there. And then on the other side of so like if you're looking at the picture, there was like a huge window, and then the other side of it was the big, I think it was like 3,000 square feet. But yeah, all one story, this dance club, and has been haunted house.
Yeah, I think you said that building was like 47,000 square feet.
Okay. Yeah, I was way off with my numbers, but yeah, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's in a strip mall. I don't know what they're going to use it for now, but right now it's currently abandoned. The haunted house moved to a new location, but yeah, and I don't know if the spirits went with them or if they stayed there. Because that was the other thing too, is where do the spirits come from? Because as far as we know, besides the 2 heart attacks, no one else died on property.
Yeah, that's interesting. It goes back to, I guess sometimes at some locations, we'll pick up like little kid spirits, but no little kids ever died at that location. And so some people theorize that, maybe that was the happiest times of their lives. So that's why they come back there.
Right. We've had that at a couple locations too. Absolutely.
What was your favorite location in the book to investigate and to research?
Oh, you're asking me tough questions now. So
Put you on the spot.
yeah, one of the ones that I remember marking in the book that I had absolutely the most fun just looking at was the Knickerbocker Hotel in Los Angeles, because their resident spirit, well, they have a few resident spirits, but their one that was in the bathroom is Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, wow.
And of course, she's said to haunt so many other places.
Yeah.
You know, like the Roosevelt Hotel, her old house. But the story is that the mirror was in her old the hotel room, so it's probably got residual energy. Of course, in Knickerbocker, it closed in the 1970s. I mean, it's been 50 years, and I would love to know if first off, if that mirror's still there, or if she still shows up. Of course, I sent a letter, or I sent an inquiry to the Knickerbocker, but I'm not a senior citizen, so they never wrote me back. But as far as the places that I actually got to go, one of my all-time favorite places is the McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Kansas, and the two bath areas upstairs on our second floor. The second floor I always find to be like the most active. And the owner, Stephanie, she believes that maybe that was where the back bedroom was, and there's a theory of a suicide that happened in there. And Charles is one of the active ghosts. But that is one place where, I mean, there's activity. There's activity all the time.
Yeah. And
I wrote about it in Sleeping Among Spirits as well. And it's a favorite because, I can investigate and then just go to bed and they don't bother me. But
yeah, I always like the locations where I get to sleep there, because and a lot of my friends are like, that's just scary, I wouldn't do that. But I'm like, yeah, but when you're tired, you don't want to drive an hour and a half home or whatever, drive to a hotel. Like, you can just go to your room and go to bed.
Oh yeah, and you just pull out that sleeping bag and you curl up. I mean, that place that I slept out was a jail cell, squirrel cage jail. Never thought that I would sleep in jail, but I got to do that. Terrible sleep.
So do you investigate with a team?
So my team is called Cheyenne Mountain Paranormal Investigators, because of course we chose a mouthful of a name. But for short, we go by CMPI. So we were formed in 2014 here in Colorado Springs. And so we do have a Facebook page and a website. I try to be more active on Twitter, and I'm not so hot. I'm the one who's usually managing that. In between the Facebook and on Facebook, I'm usually running it between that and my mom, who I was able to convince to go swimming too. But there's about 5 of us, and we're a bunch of skeptics / believers, tech savvy. I use a lot of scientific method, and it's the perfect number. And they've been so great with like helping me on my books. And I'm like, hey, I got this crazy idea that I want to go do, and they'll jump on that.
Yeah, and it's awesome to investigate with the same people, because you just get so comfortable playing off each other and playing to everybody's strengths. And of course, you got people who are more tech savvy and people who are more intuitive and things like that. But yeah, I love investigating with the same people.
Oh yeah, especially you have the ones who maybe actually don't debunk everything. The ones that like, hey, I think I got something, and they're like, nope, didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't be my killjoy. Let me have this moment.
Right. So you got this book just came out on March 5th. So you have any other books in the works or any other ideas that you want to explore?
So actually, I just started exploring Colorado legends and actually actively seeking them out. So I've already I did Cave of the Winds a couple weeks ago, and there's an old Regency hotel up in Denver, Colorado, where they say that the devil came to dance. And so that'll be my summer project. But instead of just writing about urban legends, going and actually finding them. So like Bigfoot. We have a Bigfoot here. We have rock-side vultures. I mean, it's a mountain whale down in Telluride, Colorado. So that's going to be my next project is going and trying to find something. even though I'm in that, I don't know how much I believe, but
yeah,
it's still be fun. But that's the other thing. It's like now that I've started writing, it's okay. What can I write next?
yeah, yeah. And I always say that, you know, part of the fun of it is the journey. It's not always necessarily the destination. It's the journey to get there, of actually going and investigating things and finding out for yourself whether you get evidence or not, but also diving into the history and the folklore as well.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what I've been loving lately, and I think it's what inspired me for this next book is just the stories, because there's been so many times where we hear a story and we find out something different, and that can be a bummer.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's the stories themselves that actually could make things happen and almost could inspire them. And that's what we had at Cave of the Winds a couple of weeks ago. My friends did, my friends Paranormal Encounters, they just did an episode there. So it's pretty wild. They were there like a week after we were. But telling the stories actually was eliciting responses instead of doing the traditional, like, you know, what's your name? What are you doing here? It was more of talking, just telling those. And that's when things started happening and trying a little bit of a different approach.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the adventure.
Yeah. I look at every investigation I go on as an adventure. And even somewhere like I've talked about Thomas House Hotel, this will be my like 7th time there, but it's always different, you know, but at the same time, it kind of feels like home because we're there a lot, but we always have different guests and we always have different experiences. And yeah. And so it's always an adventure. And then also, especially going someplace new and trying new things and that type of stuff. Yeah. I've just got, I think as I get older, it's less about, for me, it's less about trying to prove to everybody that it's real. It's more about proving it to myself and having my own personal experiences. And like I said, the journey of it and having the experiences.
Right. I find that there's too many haters out there where you could have a full-bodied apparition standing right in front of you and you're filming it and someone's going to say it's fake. And it's just, it's not about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's more of going, okay, well, I just saw this. Absolutely. It's the thrill of the chase. Even if like you go to a location and nothing happens. Okay. Yeah. It's a bummer, or you have that one 30-second thing that happens. That's why we do this. It's not everything that happens on TV, of course.
Right. Well, and also we're lucky to go into some of these historical places and have them to ourselves to maybe experience history one-on-one and to just experience the history of these amazing historic places we go into.
100%.
And I always tell everybody, I don't go into a place to investigate a haunting. I go in to investigate stories of a haunting. But like you're saying, that's part of the fun, the stories and the history. And if you figure out the story is wrong, well, it was a good story for the 50 years that it's been around,
Right. Yeah. It's looking at the claims and, okay, hey, can I get the same thing, or what was this? And I walk in and I'm usually the one who's not expecting anything to happen.
Yeah.
Because I found way too long ago, if I'm too eager, I'm like that girl on a Friday night going, oh my gosh, please happen. And then it's more of, okay, hold on, something just happened and I can't explain that. That's cool. And then I'm the one who's, got the dopey grin on my face because like, all right, I can't explain this. And it's exciting.
Yeah.
But you're right. Living the history I don't even have words for it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the nerd that likes to dive into the history and know the history of locations, and because I'm just a history nerd, probably first and foremost. Of course, I do the paranormal for a living with the show here and stuff, but that's what kind of gets me going is the history, and then going in and trying to find that history with the paranormal investigating.
Absolutely. You try to get that, where you get it to connect, or like even on Estes, right? Where if you can get something over that, because it's using all modern radio, but you can get certain terms that can come out.
Yeah.
You have that connection.
Yeah. And even to get a good EVP answering your question.
Oh, yeah.
Just crazy that we even are possibly communicating with somebody who lived 100 or more years ago, or, and connecting with a completely different time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll look forward to your next book coming out and what you have going on. And everybody, like I said, can go to Amazon Kindle or Audible and find your books. And I'll have all the links in the show notes for everybody to go check this out. And yeah, I'm telling you, you want to check out Unfinished Business, Tales of Haunted Restrooms and Bathrooms. It is a very fun book, but at the same time, it's it's a serious paranormal book, but kind of on a interesting topic.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. Me too.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. Join us next week for an all-new, amazing guest. And in the meantime, please go on Spotify or Apple and give us a rate and a review. And go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you would like to submit your story, you can email it to unseenparanormalpodcast@gmail.com. And you can remain anonymous if you like. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there.